us on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop, is Shaun Powell from NBA.com. Shaun, thank you for joining us. It is very much appreciated. Let's start with the obvious first question tonight as we sit here at Doco outside of the G1C. How would you handicap the chances of the Kings for this series to win this series without a better than, let's say, 75% DeAaron Foxs?
I would say that they don't have much of a chance at all. Fox has been by far the best player for the Kings in this series. Also consider in this series, you look at Sabonis, Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, and Murray. All four of those players, the playoff performance is down from the regular season in some way, shape, or form. And I think that really hurts Sacramento. When you really look at that stat and that reality, in a sense, they're kind of fortunate to be tied to.
As you watch this series, and you pointed out the difficulties that Domas has had among those other guys, but do you get the sense that it's something that the Warriors are doing to give him those problems, or do you think Domas, this is a lot of self-inflicted pain over the course of this series?
I think it's more self-inflicted. If you never saw this guy play, you would have swore he was born without a right hand, and he doesn't know how to shoot a mid-range shot. Because they're giving him that shot. And until the last game, he took a few jumpers. But for what reason is he not taking that open shot? And I'm confused by that. The other thing is, does the guy ever go to his right? I mean, he's fake like you're going to go to your right. He's always going left. They know he's going left. They're playing him to the left. And he's making a lot of mistakes and drawing offensive fouls by trying to bowl his way to the rim. I just don't understand the way he's playing now versus the way he played in the regular season. This is a guy who could make all NBA this year. But if you just saw him on this playoff series, you'd be like, what? Seriously? He's a much better player than what he's shown in this series.
Shaun Powell from NBA.com is with us here, Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports. Shaun, is there anything that you see that the coaching staff could do to maybe open up Domas a little bit more?
I mean, look, you can just tell him what he needs to do, but that's really about a confidence. It's a lack of confidence when you don't make an open jumper. They're giving you the 15-footer. It's a lack of confidence. What are the coaches going to tell him? Take the shot? I mean, it's not a complicated game. So I just think with him, it's just a lack of confidence right now, particularly going to his right. These things are just so very apparent. A coach should not have to tell you to do these things. That's why I'm really confused. Look, this guy is a solid player, fantastic rebounder. Like I said, one of the better young frontline players in the NBA. But for whatever reason, I don't know if he's in the fog, and I don't know if it's because of the postseason. I don't know if he feels pressure. I don't know what it is. And I'm not trying to put all the blame on him. Like I said, Harrison Barnes hasn't really stepped. Kevin Huerter hasn't hit that long-range jump shot, so it's just not on Sabonis. But I just feel that we just really haven't seen the best of Sabonis so far in this series. And there's still time, but we haven't seen it yet.
After DeAaron Foxs and wondering if his hand will allow him to keep playing at the level that he is, and after wondering if Domas will figure out what's given him problems throughout the series, who's the next most important guy on this Kings roster that you think needs to wake up and get things going?
Well, I would maybe Huerter, only because he was such a revelation for them this year, getting him from Atlanta, and he stepped right in. He has been very consistent. Big part of the Kings, offense, historically great offense. Same thing with Murray, of course. But Murray's a rookie, so I'm kind of giving him a little bit of a pass for being in a little bit of slump. And he sort of broke out of it the last game. But I would say they definitely hurt him. Harrison Barnes, again, this is a guy who has, deep playoff experience. I thought we would probably see a little bit better from him, missing that, that last shot. Last game, he had a chance to win it for Sacramento. Hopefully that doesn't follow him to the next game. He seems to be a very even-keel guy. I don't think it will. But you would like to think that the Sacramento Kings, when they see that, DeAaron Foxs, who, by the way, has just been tremendous. If you never watched the Sacramento Kings this year, and you see DeAaron Foxs, you're like, where's this guy been? No, he's been there all year. You just haven't watched him. So he's been a terrific player for them. But now that he's handicapped to an extent, you would like to think that some of these players who are slumping, Sabonis goes from shooting 61% in the regular season down to 48% in playoffs, averaging 4 turnovers in the playoffs. You would think that one of these 4 players that I mentioned would step up. And by the way, we should mention Davion's defense, which I think has been a hidden gem for Sacramento this series. This young kid is just really on the ball. Look, who's going to stop Steph Curry? No one's going to stop him. But Davion Mitchell has played very well for them off the bench.
Shaun Powell's with us on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Shaun, the Celtics continue to struggle to close games out in the postseason. It happened again last night. The Bucks are on the brink of elimination against the Heat. Joel Embiid is injured. Who makes the most sense for you coming out of the East at this point?
Man, that's a great question right now. I think if you asked that question just, 4 days ago, I'd still say the Milwaukee Bucks. And maybe so. I mean, they're down 3-1. Of all the teams that are down 3-1 playing tonight, you would think that Milwaukee probably still has the best chance of returning in that series and winning and moving on. Now, in the history of the NBA best of 7 series, the teams that go up 3-1, they win 95% of the time. So that stat is against Milwaukee. But Bucks are back home. I think Giannis is going to rise to the occasion. And if the Bucks win, then it's about going back to Miami. So, look, I think Boston is just a momentary stumble. I think they'll be okay in the series against Atlanta. In Philadelphia, look, I mean, the bottom line is with Philadelphia, they bought themselves a few more, or Atlanta by beating Boston. But Joel Embiid, a few more games where he can get healthy. So we'll see how he plays the game 1 of the conference semifinals and see whether or not that injury is going to affect him or not.
Is it any easier to pick who's coming out of the West?
No. I mean, look, the entire NBA right now is just a toss-up. Before the playoffs, you said, okay, Milwaukee looks pretty good coming out of the East for sure, but I think that's been clouded a little bit. In the West, I mean, I don't know, man. When the playoffs began, if you looked at the top 3 teams in the West, you would say, well, they're a lot shaky. Memphis, Sacramento, Denver, none of those teams have been to the promised land before in recent history, so you figure that the next tier, the Warriors, the Lakers, a healthy Lakers, rejuvenated Lakers team with LeBron and AD, maybe they would probably have the best shot. And also the Phoenix Suns getting Kevin Durant mid-season, and now all of a sudden they're the favorite. So it's really confusing. We really don't know. My hunch says Denver will make it through, but I would not be surprised if one of these so-called lower seeds, and that is Phoenix, the Warriors, the Lakers, pull a surprise and make it out of the West.
Last one for you, Shaun, and again, we thank you for your time today. Of course, the Clippers were eliminated last night. Is it time for some big changes this offseason?
Well, they don't really have much to deal. I mean, most of their draft capital is gone. It belongs to the Oklahoma City Thunder for the Paul George trade. And if you look up and down that roster, I'm not so sure they have assets that can really get something other than Kawhi Leonard, obviously, and Paul George. So really the question comes down to, do you trade one of those 2 players? Also complicating things is they have a new arena opening up in about a year and a half. And I don't think Steve Ballmer wants to bring a rebuilding team into that the Intuit Dome when it opens. So that kind of complicates matters a little bit. And that's where he might tell his management, hey, you know what? Let's ride and die with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard at least through the first year of that arena. I don't want to bring a losing team, but rebuilding team in there. And we don't have the draft capital either to have the number 1 pick or anything. It belongs to Oklahoma City. I think they're going to stick with the status quo. They'll probably bring back Russell Westbrook and give it another try. Keep in mind, by the way, when Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are healthy, that's a dangerous team. I don't know if they've even lost a playoff game when they're on the floor together and healthy, or playoff series, I should say. So I think they're going to run it back. They're just going to keep their fingers crossed one more year.
Shaun, great stuff, man. We appreciate you. Thanks for doing this, and hopefully we catch up again soon.
Sounds good.
There goes Shaun Powell, NBA.com. He was on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. It's a fantastic point about the arena.